Florida. And last but not least, thank you to law enforcement. Law enforcement did yeoman's work, and not just arriving at the scene, but everything they've done since then. The reason we're here today is because the Chabba family just wants individuals to know their heartfelt sense of gratitude, but also we're asking for a thorough and transparent investigation. We believe that that's necessary for healing. We also believe that that's necessary so that incidents like this do not happen, not just anywhere else in the state of Florida, but anywhere else in this country. We had a funeral that buried a great man last week, and the only conversations that our family has had with law enforcement were when they were notified of his death. And so we're asking that there be some level of transparency. We're asking that there be thoroughness so we can find out the what, the when, the why, and the how this occurred. We'll take questions at the end of this. I'm going to allow Mr. Bannister to come up and speak, but the only thing I ask of the media today is to not mention the shooter's name. We are not in the business of lifting up people who cause that type of harm and damage to our communities. If there are any names you want to lift up, please lift up those who were murdered that day and those who were injured. Mr. Bannister.
Thank you. My name's Jim Bannister, and I, along with my co-counsel, represent Tiru Chabba and his family. Last week, he was laid to rest. His family, friends, and particularly his working buddies at Aramark all were there and spoke and told stories about Tiru, about his compassion, his diligence at work, and his abiding sense of humor. And underlying that funeral was questions about why and what happened. The Chabba family has realized that there's a mourning period that will really never end. They will never get over missing Tiru. He won't be there to see his children graduate from high school. He won't be there to see them marry, to have his grandchildren, and he won't be there with his loving wife to grow old with her as they had planned. That was appropriate for then, and that was the focus for the funeral, celebrating his life. But now it's time to try to get some answers to the why and the what. The why may be difficult. It may even be impossible. But the what is a different story. The family can and should be given some certainty about exactly what happened on that day. And so they recognize and they want everybody to know, the officials and law enforcement, that they want there to be a thorough investigation, and they want that time to be appropriate so that that can happen. But every day that they don't have basic answers to what happened is difficult for them. It's hard to process the grief appropriately without a real understanding of everything that happened on that particular day. And so while they want to give law enforcement and officials the time that they need, we want there to be a sense of urgency. To the extent that it can be done as rapidly as possible, that's what they would like. And I would like to say thank you to the media because they have respected the family's time to grieve and mourn. But now we're moving into a different process here to figure out what happened. Thank you.
Robbie Bell.
Good morning. My name is Robbie Bell. As a Florida State alumni, this hits hard at home. For such a special place to me, to be here under this horrific tragedy is hard to put into words. As a Florida State Seminole, we have a very strong community. It's built on integrity, character, and pride. And as being part of the Florida State family for generations, dating back in my family, family is the most important thing. And we are here for one reason, to put the victims and their families first. Thank you.
We'll take any questions you all have. Yes, ma'am?
What gaps or concerns do you believe exist in the current investigation?
We're not sure, mainly because our family and many of us have been kind of left in the dark in terms of what's happening. I will tell you this, Florida State University, Aramark have stepped up. We're not here to cast any aspersions on the university or their leadership. They were gracious enough to give us this space. They showed up at the funeral, which means a lot to the family. But we are asking, and this happens sometimes either intentionally or unintentionally, anytime you have law enforcement investigating other law enforcement, sometimes things don't necessarily go as they should. And so we want there to be a watchful eye. And we know the governor wants answers. We know that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement wants answers. We just want there to be a little sunlight in the process.
Good morning. Despite FSU's cooperation so far, if and when there's litigation over Mr. Chabba's death, will Florida State naturally be a defendant in any legal action? Can you talk about that at all?
I don't know the answer to that question. Like Mr. Bannister said, it's a lot of questions that we still have remaining. My hope is that this is my hope, my sincerest hope, is that we're able to work together to make these families whole and provide whatever remedies possible without necessarily being antagonistic, without being adversarial. I'm not here for that today. I know there is a great deal of expectation when you have a civil rights lawyer come to town. There's going to be some flame throwing and some rock throwing, but I think that Mr. Bell stated best that this is about family, and we're hopeful that we can have some conversations down the road that may not prove to be adversarial. I'm just not sure yet because we don't have answers to those basic questions.
I have a question about Mr. Chabba, if I may. Can you talk a little bit about why was he here at Florida State on that day, and how often did he come here, and why?
So Mr. Chabba and his family, they reside in Greenville, South Carolina, and he works for Aramark Corporation. And he was here on business. He was here representing Aramark, and this was the second time he had been down in recent months. Aramark had been a vendor with Florida State for a while, and they were in the middle of negotiations for some continuing business concerns. So it was a little bit happenstance that he was here on that day in this particular location.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask you, so is there still no indication yet from police about a motive for
No, we don't have any answers. I think that you guys have seen the same reports. I mean, a lot of things that we've seen have come from the media. We don't have any insight that you all don't have. No motives. I mean, that's the family wants to know why. As you can imagine, losing a father, having children, and you can't explain why. When your dad goes on a work trip, they're supposed to come home, and so we want to get those answers.
And the Florida legislature is in session now. There are a number of gun-related bills that appear to be dead at this point, but I'm curious if the family has weighed in on any gun control proposals that Florida is looking at, whether it's campus carry or lowering the age to get weapons.
Yeah, as much as the push and pull in me is telling me to get involved in that political debate, the family is not going to leave the politics to the legislature. And so I think one of the things that we can do is be instructive. It's a word we learned this morning, because we want to make sure that we prevent this from happening on the campus of Florida A&M, University of Miami, Bethune-Cookman. I think that there should be some initiative to make sure that our campuses are safe and secure. We need to understand who the shooter was. We need to understand his background. We need to understand what the university knew about who the shooter was in their background. We need to know what Tallahassee State Community College knew about his background. We need to know about his interactions with law enforcement. Were there any interactions with law enforcement? We need to know about his interactions in the Child Protective Services arena. So those are a lot of the questions that we just need to find some answers to. But the politics, we're not here for that. As I started, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Ron DeSantis. We can argue over immigration policy later, but right now we're just trying to make sure this family heals.
Would you be looking at Leon County Sheriff for any culpability in a situation being with the weapon?
I don't have that answer yet. The question that I would ask you to ask is, how did this weapon get in the hands of this young man? And if we're able to figure out that, then we can go back.
And that was kind of my question. In the interest of transparency, what kind of information are you looking for about the alleged shooter, about his time with the Leon County Sheriff?
Well, I'm going to let Robbie chime in here as well, but one of the things we want to know is where he got the gun from, how he got the gun, those type of things. Should he have had the weapon? I believe that there are good laws on the books about people who have diagnosed mental health issues. Was there a diagnosis, those type of things? But I'll let Robbie chime in too.
Yeah, all I have to say is difficult questions require difficult answers, and that's what we're here for, to try to help solve some of these questions that are remaining. So there's still a lot to be investigated. We're going to handle our investigation with the utmost professionalism, and hopefully we'll help the families and the victims find some answers here.
Yes, ma'am.
What would justice look like for the Chabba
Great question, but I like to be intentional in my words. Justice for the Chabba family is Tiru with his family for holidays. Justice is him picking his kids up from daycare. Justice is him sitting around the dinner table. Justice is him being able to celebrate those birthdays, like Mr. Bannister said, graduations, weddings. So justice for the Chabba family is a little bit out of the realm of possibility now because his life was taken. What we're looking for is accountability. We want accountability in the criminal process that's being undertaken now. We're looking for accountability from the university to see what, if anything, they could have done to prevent it or prevent these things from happening in the future. Everybody stepped up to the plate so far. And we just want that transparency so we can answer the questions that you all are all asking. I mean, it's cool to ask us these questions, but the people with the answers simply, they're not, we want to know, they're not here. We'll do a couple more because I'm now feeling like I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and under my shirt is now sweating.
Can I follow up on that just briefly? Because I think justice definitely does not look like the canonization of the perpetrators of violent crimes. And I think too often that the victims are left with a feeling like the focus has become all on the perpetrator of the crime, that they are then touted in the media, they become famous, and that would simply not be appropriate in this situation.
Two more questions. I know you have one, and then I'll get you the last, okay?
I want to return to the point you made a few minutes ago about making the family whole. Mr. Bannister, if I'm getting far afield, please tell me here. But Florida is a sovereign immunity state. This shooting took place on state property. We have a process in Florida called relief bills or claims bills. It takes years, and I'm saying sometimes decades, for a family or the survivors to receive financial compensation for a wrongful death. Are you aware of that?
We are becoming aware of that as we receive some of the paperwork from the Victims Assistance Program, and I will say that the forms leave you with a lot more questions than answers, and I'm a lawyer, so.
Yeah, we know that there are some tort obstacles. We know that there are some obstacles legally in, Leon County Courthouse and federal courthouses, but we believe we'll get accountability, and we believe that we're hopeful that the university will work with us. We're hopeful the sheriff department will work with us. And again, we don't anticipate any adversarial relationship, and that's not why the family sent me down here, and that's not why I'm here today. Last question, and then we can answer some individual questions if you have them. I don't know the answer to that yet. We are exploring what resources the shooter and or his family have. We are going to do everything we can because this individual, he was a vice president. He was a father. He was a husband. There is a lot there that was taken from the Chabba family. And so I don't really have that answer for you either, but we'll explore any and all remedies possible. The last thing I'll say is thank you again to Florida State University. Thank you to the president of this institution. We saw you last Friday. You didn't have to come to the funeral. You could have sent a big delegation or made a big hoopla outside, but you just wanted to come and be a part of that celebration in this particular community at this particular time. And so there's a great deal of thanks that the president deserves. Thank you to the governor. Thank you to law enforcement. We just want a transparent, open investigation. A little sunshine never hurt anybody. Thank you, and God bless the great state of Florida, the state of South Carolina, and God bless all of you all. Thank you. Thank you. I wish we could walk inside, but now we have to do that.